And all of a sudden, children are almost grown and gone, and I'm left with the finance charges and the balances, and the feeling that pulling out that credit card was a big mistake. When I look back on my life, I wish I had learned many years ago to place my trust in God first above everything and everyone else, instead of putting that trust in plastic and the material things it provided. Since I began practicing Dave's principles, my 2 tithe checks are the most important checks I write every month. Those checks support my church, but most of all, they support my belief and faith in God, who will never change, who will never charge me interest, and unlike a credit card, will always be there for me and provide for all my needs. I strongly recommend that single parents follow the Total Money Makeover principles. It will change your spending habit, your thinking, and most important, your heart. Joyce, a single mom.
Chapter 4. Money Myths. The non-secrets of the rich. Most money myths have to do with a lie about a shortcut or a lie about safety. We yearn to become healthy, wealthy, and wise with no effort and with no risk, but it will never happen. Why else is the lottery so successful in pulling in millions of dollars? Why do people stay in jobs they hate, seeking false security? The total money makeover mentality is to live like no one else. So later, we can live like no one else. A price has to be paid, and there are no shortcuts. While no one goes looking for needless pain, risk, or sacrifice, when something sounds too good to be true, it is. The myths I'm going to talk about now are rooted in 2 basic problems. First is risk denial, thinking total safety is possible and likely. Second is easy wealth, or looking for the magic key to open the treasure chest. Risk denial takes several forms in the world of money. Sometimes risk denial is a kind of laziness when we don't want to take the energy to realize that energy is needed to win. Other times, risk denial is a kind of surrender in which we settle for a bad solution because we are so beat down or beat up that we wave the white flag and do something stupid. At still other times, risk denial can have an active component when we search for a false security that simply doesn't exist. This is the risk denial of someone who keeps a job he or she hates for 14 years because the company is, quote, secure, only to find life turned upside down by a layoff when the secure company files for bankruptcy. Money denial always involves an illusion followed by disillusionment. The second underlying problem is the quest for easy wealth. Quick, easy money is one of the oldest lies or myths in the book of the human race. The secrets of the rich don't exist because the principles aren't a secret. There is no magic key, and if you are looking for one, you've set yourself up for pain and the loss of money. One of my pastors says that living right is not complicated. It may be difficult, but it is not complicated. Living right financially is the same way. It is not complicated. It may be difficult, but it is not complicated. In addition to debt myths, we must dispel several other money myths as part of your total money makeover. Most of these money myths are rooted in the problems we've already discussed: denial and or a shortcut mentality. Myth: everything will be fine when I retire. I know I'm not saving yet, but it will be okay. Truth: Ed McMahon is not coming. How can I put this delicately? There is no shining knight headed your way on a white horse to save the day. Wake up. This is the real world where sad old people eat Alpo. Please don't be under the illusion that this government, one that is so inept and dim-witted with money, is going to take care of you in your golden years. That is your job. This is an emergency. The house is on fire. You have to save. You have to invest for your future. You won't be fine. Do you get the picture? Things won't be okay unless you make them that way. Your destiny and your dignity are up to you. You are in charge of your retirement. We'll talk about how to take charge of it later, but for now, you'd better be 100% convinced that this area deserves your full attention right now, not tomorrow or pretty soon. Myth. Gold is a good investment and will cover me if the economy collapses. Truth. Gold has a poor track record and isn't used when an economy collapses. Gold is a lousy investment with a long track record of mediocrity. The average rates of return tracked as far back as Napoleon are around 2% gain per year. In recent history, gold has a 50-year track record of around 4.4%, about the same as inflation, and just above savings accounts. During that same time frame, you would have made around 12% in a good growth stock mutual fund. The truth is that gold is not used when economies fail. History shows that when an economy completely collapses, the first thing that appears is a black market barter system in which people trade items for other items or services. Myth. I can get rich quickly and easily if I join these groups, buy this tape set, and work 3 hours a week. Truth. No one develops and makes a six-figure income on 3 hours a week. Have you seen the midnight infomercial about ordering a tape set with the secrets so that you too can become wildly wealthy by buying nothing down real estate or by learning the hidden formula to success in the stock market? Sounds too good to be true? It is. Small business ideas abound, such as getting rich at home by stuffing envelopes and doing medical billing. Be realistic. Envelopes are stuffed by machines at a rate of thousands a minute and at a cost of tenths of a penny. They are not stuffed by stay-at-home moms trying to supplement the family income. One person in every 1,000 who attempts the oversold, overdone medical billing concept does so at a profit. The legitimate, profitable medical biller is usually someone who came from the medical industry, not someone who got ripped off taking a weekend course. Don't fall for this. Real estate can be purchased for nothing down, but then you owe so much on it that there is no cash flow. I bought foreclosure and bankruptcy real estate for years and know it can be done, but the players with cash are the ones who win. The good deals are 1 in 200 if you are experienced and very good in real estate. I worked 60 hours a week and it took me years to get to a six-figure income in that world. The stock market attracts the brightest business minds on the planet. These mega nerds study, track, chart, eat, and breathe the stock market and have for generations. Still, every other year, a book or con artist comes out claiming to have discovered little-known keys, patterns, or trends that will make you rich. The Beardstown Ladies published a New York Times bestseller about their cute little quilting group who started investing and discovered how to get unbelievable returns. As it turns out, the whole thing was a fraud, and they never got those reported returns, and the publisher got sued. It is really hard to sell books and tapes that teach the necessity of lots of hard work, living on less than you make, getting out of debt, and living on a plan, but I'm trying, because it's the only way it will work. Meanwhile, the sooner you understand that no one gets rich quick by using secret information, the better. Myth. Cash value life insurance, like whole life, will help me retire wealthy. Truth. Cash value life insurance is one of the worst financial products available. Sadly, over 70% of the life insurance policies sold today are cash value policies. A cash value policy is an insurance product that packages insurance and savings together. Do not invest money in life insurance. The returns are horrible. Your insurance person show you wonderful projections, but none of these policies perform as projected. Let's look at an example. If a 30-year-old man has $100 per month to spend on life insurance and shops the top 5 cash value companies, he will find he can purchase an average of $125,000 in whole life insurance for his family. The pitch is, to get a policy that will build up savings for retirement, which is what a cash value policy does. However, if this same guy purchases 20-year level term insurance with coverage of $125,000, the cost will only be $7 per month, not $100. Wow. If he goes with the cash value option, the other $93 per month would be in savings, right? Well, not really. You see, there are expenses. Expenses? How much? All of the $93 per month disappears in commissions and expenses for the first 3 years. After that, the return will average 2.6% per year for whole life, 4.2% for universal life, and 7.4% for the new and improved variable life policy that includes mutual funds. These statistics are from Consumer Reports, Consumer Federation of America, Kiplinger's Personal Finance, and Fortune magazine. So these are the real numbers. Worse yet, with whole life and universal life, the savings you finally build up after being ripped off for years don't go to your family upon your death. The only benefit paid to your family is the face value of the policy, the $125,000 of our example. The truth is that you would be better off to get the $7 term policy and put the extra $93 in a cookie jar. At least after 3 years, you would have $3,000, and when you died, your family would get your savings. As you continue in this book and learn how to have a total money makeover, you will begin investing well. Then, when you're 57 and the kids are grown and gone, the house is paid for, and you have $700,000 in mutual funds, you've become self-insured. That means when your 20-year term is up, you shouldn't need life insurance at all, because with no kids to feed, no house payment, and $700,000, your spouse will just have to suffer through if you die without life insurance. Myth. Playing the lotto and other forms of gambling will make you rich. Truth. Lotto and Powerball are attacks on the poor and people who can't do math. It is a ripoff instituted by our government. This is not a moral position. It is a mathematical, statistical fact. Studies show that the zip codes that spend 4 times what anyone else does are those in lower income parts of town. The lotto or gambling of any kind offers false hope, not a ticket out. Myth. Mobile homes or trailers will allow me to own something instead of renting, and that will help me to become wealthy. Truth. Trailers go down in value rapidly, making your chances for wealth building less than if you had rented. People who buy a $25,000 double-wide home will in 5 years owe $22,000 on a trailer worth $8,000. Financially, it's like living in your new car. Please don't kid yourself on this. Call it manufactured housing. Put it on a permanent foundation. Add lots of improvements around the yard. And it is still a trailer when you are ready to sell it. If the typical consumer considering buying your home can walk up and tell it was ever a trailer in any form, your home will go down, not up in value. The only exception to the no trailers rule is Ron's plan. Ron graduated from Financial Peace University and was on track for a total money makeover. Ron and his wife prayerfully decided to sell their nice $120,000 home, on which they owed only $50,000. They bought a small farm and a very used $3,000 trailer. With no payments and an income of $85,000, they saved and built a very nice, paid-for $250,000 home in just a couple of years. Myth. Prepaying my funeral or my kids' college expenses is a good way to invest and protect myself against inflation. Truth. Plans for prepaid funerals and college expenses give low rates of return and put money in the other guy's pocket. When you prepay something, your return on investment, interest, is the amount the item will go up in value before you use it. In other words, by prepaying, you avoid the price increases, and that is your return. Prepaying items is like investing at the item's inflation rate. For example, prepaying college tuition will save you the amount tuition goes up between the time you lock in and the time your child begins his college education. The average inflation rate for tuition nationally is about 7%, so prepaying tuition is like investing money at 7%. That is not bad, but mutual funds will average about 12% over a long period of time, and you can save for college tax-free. More about college saving later in your Total Money Makeover. The same concept is true for prepaid burial plans. Pre-planning the details of your funeral is wise, but prepaying is unwise. Sarah, age 39, paid $3,500 for a prepaid funeral. Why? If she were to save $3,500 in a mutual fund, averaging 12%, upon an average death age of 78, Sarah's mutual fund would be worth $368,500. I think Sarah could be buried for that with a little left over, unless, of course, she is kin to King Tut. Myth. I don't have time to work on a budget, retirement plan, or estate plan. True. You don't have time not to. Most people concentrate on the urgent in our culture. We worry about our health and focus on our money only after they're gone. John Maxwell has the best quote on budgeting I've ever heard. I wish I had said it. A budget is people telling their money what to do instead of wondering where it went. Earl Nightingale, motivational legend, said that most people spend more time picking out a suit of clothes than planning their career or even their retirement. What if your life depended on how you managed your 401k or whether you started your Roth IRA today? Actually, it does, because the quality of your life at retirement depends on your becoming an expert in money management today. Myth. The debt management companies on TV like Ameridebt will save me. Truth. You may get out of debt, but only with your credit trashed. Debt management companies are springing up everywhere. These companies manage your debt by taking one monthly payment from you and distributing the money among your creditors, with whom they've often worked out lower payments and lower interest. This is not a loan, as with debt consolidation. Sometimes people get the two confused. Both are bad. Companies like Ameridebt and Consumer Credit Counseling Service can help you get better interest rates and lower payments, but at a price. When you use one of these companies and then try to get a conventional FHA or VA loan, you will be treated the same as if you had filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Mortgage underwriting guidelines for traditional mortgages will consider your credit trashed, so don't do it. Another problem with debt management by someone else is that your habits don't change. You can't have someone else lose weight for you. You have to change your exercise and diet habits. Handling money is the same way. You have to change your behavior. Turning all your problems over to someone else treats the symptom, not the problem. Our firm does financial counseling and certifies counselors around the nation for referrals. We will not handle your money for you. We lead you into a mandatory Total Money Makeover. We are not babysitters. Of the debt management companies, Consumer Credit is the best. They do the most thorough job, and they are the most powerful in the renegotiation of your debt. You will still destroy your credit by using them, though, so don't do it. But if I absolutely can't talk you out of it, they're the one to use. Ameridebt has one of the worst Better Business reports of any debt management company. Stay away. Myth. I can buy a kit to clean up my credit, and all my past misdeeds will be washed away. Truth. Only inaccuracies can be cleaned from credit reports. So this is a scam. You can't have anything taken off your report unless the item is inaccurate. If you have an inaccuracy that needs to be removed, do it yourself. Accurate bad credit stays unless you lie. Lying for the purpose of getting money is fraud. Don't do it. Clean your credit with a Total Money Makeover. I will show you how to live under control, pay cash for stuff so you don't need credit, and over time your credit will clean itself. Myth. My divorce decree says my spouse has to pay the debt, so I don't. Truth. Divorce decrees do not have the power to take your name off credit cards and mortgages. So if your spouse doesn't pay, be ready to. You still owe the debt. If your ex-husband keeps his truck that you both signed for and then doesn't make the payments, your credit is damaged, the truck gets repoed, and you will get sued for the balance. If you are going to leave a marriage, make sure that all debts are refinanced out of your name or force the sale of the item. Don't have the attitude, I don't want to make him sell his truck. If you're that much in love, don't get divorced. But if you're walking away, make it a complete clean break, even though it's painful now. The only other option is mega risk, and you can count on heartache and even more anger coming your way. Myth. That collector was so helpful, they really like me. Truth. Collectors are not your friends. Your Total Money Makeover will cause you to pay your debts. I want you to pay what you owe, but collectors are not your friends. Any deal, special plan, or settlement you make with collectors must be in writing before you send them money. Otherwise, you'll find that you don't have a deal, that they lied. And never allow collectors electronic access to your checking account, and never send post-dated checks. They will abuse you if you give them this power, and there will be nothing you can do because you owe them money. Clear? Myth. I'll just file bankruptcy and start over. It seems so easy. Truth. Bankruptcy is a gut-wrenching, life-changing event that causes lifelong damage. Don't let anyone fool you. I have been bankrupt and worked with the bankrupt for decades, and it is not a place you want to visit. Bankruptcy is listed in the top 5 life-altering negative events that we can go through, along with divorce, severe illness, disability, and loss of a loved one. Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is total bankruptcy, stays on your credit report for 10 years. Chapter 13 bankruptcy, more like a payment plan, stays on your credit report for 7 years. Bankruptcy, however, is for life. Loan applications and many job applications ask if you have ever filed for bankruptcy. Ever. If you lie to get a loan because your bankruptcy is very old, technically, you've committed criminal fraud. Most bankruptcies can be avoided with a Total Money Makeover. Your Total Money Makeover may involve extensive amputation of stuff, which will be painful, but bankruptcy is much more painful. Myth. I can't use cash because it is dangerous. I might get robbed. Truth. You are being robbed every day by not using the power of cash. We teach people to carry cash. In a culture where the sales clerk thinks you are a drug dealer if you pay with cash, I know this suggestion may seem weird. However, cash is powerful. If you carry cash, you spend less, and you get bargains by flashing cash. Linda emailed my newspaper column complaining that she would get robbed if she carried cash. I explained to her that crooks don't have x-ray vision to look into her pocket or purse. The crooks assume that your purse is like all the others, filled with credit cards that are over the limit. Look, I'm not making light of crime. There is a chance you may get robbed because people do get robbed. And if that happens, the cash will be taken. But trust me, you need to be far more worried about the danger of using credit cards than the danger of being robbed while carrying cash. Myth. I can't afford insurance. Truth. Some insurance you can't afford to be without. Today, as I went to lunch, I met Steve and Sandy in my reception area. They came by to say thanks. What for? This young couple in their 20s listened to our radio program. And because I constantly push people to get the right kinds of insurance, they did. This year, they got term insurance and an MSA health insurance policy. Good thing we did what you said to do, said Steve, as he pulled off his cap to reveal a shaved head with a big scar across the top. What in the world happened? The scar was from a biopsy that revealed inoperable brain cancer. Steve promised he was going to beat it. Sandy smiled and said the health insurance has already paid over $100,000 in bills. And we would be sunk if we hadn't followed through, as you push all the time. Also, Steve is now uninsurable, so he's thankful to have his term life insurance in responsible in buying the right kinds of insurance, they have covered life and death, which we all have to do. We all hate insurance until we need it. We pay and pay and pay and pay premiums. And sometimes we feel insurance poor. But you must have insurance in some basic categories as a part of a total money makeover. Auto and homeowners insurance. Choose higher deductibles in order to save on premiums. With high liability limits, these are the best buys in the insurance world. Life insurance. Purchase 20-year level term insurance equal to about 10 times your income. Term insurance is cheap and the only way to go. Never use life insurance as a place to save money. Long-term disability. If you are 32 years old, you are 12 times more likely to become disabled than to die by age 65. The best place to buy disability insurance is through work at a fraction of the cost, and you can usually get coverage that equals from 50 to 70% of your income. Health insurance. The number one cause of bankruptcy today is medical bills. Number two is credit cards. One way to control costs is to look for large deductibles to lower your premium. If you are self-employed, look for an MSA, medical savings account. This type of insurance saves premiums and taxes. Long-term care insurance. If you are over 60, buy long-term care insurance to cover in-home care or nursing home care. The average nursing home stay costs $40,000 per year, which will crack and scramble a nest egg in a heartbeat. Dad in the nursing home can use up mom's $250,000 savings in just a few short years. Make your parents get it. Myth. If I do a will, I might die. Truth. You are going to die. So do it with a will. Estate planners tell us that 70% of Americans die without a will. Dumb, really dumb. The state, known for its financial prowess, will decide what happens to your stuff, your kids, and your financial legacy. The proverb says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I am a pragmatist, and so I don't understand all the fretting over a will. A will is a gift you leave your family or loved ones. It is a gift because it makes the management of your estate very clear and light years easier. You are going to die, so go out in style and die with a will in place. We've revealed debt myths and money myths. If you have carefully listened and understood why these myths are untrue, I have great news for you. Your Total Money Makeover has already begun. The Total Money Makeover is a remaking of your view of money so that you permanently change how you deal with money. You must walk to the beat of a different drummer, the same beat that the wealthy hear. If the beat sounds normal, evacuate the dance floor immediately. The goal is to not be normal, because as my radio listeners know by now, normal is broke. Chapter 5. 2 more hurdles. Ignorance and keeping up with the Joneses. Now we will address 2 more hurdles. Ignorance and keeping up with the Joneses. Hurdle number 1. Ignorance. No one is born financially smart. The first hurdle is ignorance. In a culture that worships knowledge, to say ignorance about money is an issue makes some people defensive. Don't be defensive. Ignorance is not lack of intelligence, it's lack of know-how. No one is born with the knowledge of how to drive a car. We are taught the skill. Likewise, no one is born with the knowledge of how to handle money. But we aren't taught that. According to the Census Bureau, the average family in America last year made $40,816. Even if they never get a raise, the average family will make over $2 million in a working lifetime. And we teach nothing about how to manage money in most high schools and colleges. We have quit teaching personal finance, and we have to start again. That is why Financial Peace for the Next Generation is taught in high schools around the nation. If you made a mess of your money and or haven't gotten the best use from it, the reason is that you were never taught to do so. Overcoming ignorance is easy. You don't need to apply to Harvard to get an MBA with a specialization in finance. You just need to spend more time on your 401k options and your budget than you do picking out this year's vacation. Hurdle number 2. Joneses. The Joneses can't do math. The second hurdle is keeping up with the Joneses. Peer pressure, cultural expectations, reasonable standard of living. I don't care how you say it. We all need to be accepted by our crowd and our family. This need for approval and respect drive us to do some really insane things. One of the paradoxically dumb things we do is to destroy our finances by buying garbage we can't afford to try to make ourselves appear wealthy to others. Dr. Tom Stanley wrote a wonderful book in the 90s you should read entitled The Millionaire Next Door. His book is a study of America's millionaires. Remember, if you want to be thin and muscular, you should study the habits of people who are thin and muscular. If you want to be rich, you should study the habits and value systems of the rich. When we think of millionaires, we think of big houses, new cars, and really nice clothes. Stanley found that most millionaires don't have those things. He found the typical millionaire lives in a middle-class home, drives a 2-year-old or older paid-for car, and buys blue jeans at Walmart. In short, Stanley found the typical millionaire found infinitely more motivation from the goal of financial security than from what friends and family think. If we look at Stanley's findings and hold those up against Ken and Barbie's life plan, we find Ken and Barbie to be lost, off course, and clueless. Ken and Barbie are in our office all the time for financial counseling. Last year they were here, and their names were Bob and Sarah. Bob and Sarah make $93,000 a year, and have for the last 7 years. What do they have to show for it? A $400,000 home that they still owe $390,000 on, including a home equity loan used to furnish the home. They have two $30,000 fleeced cars and a $52,000 credit card debt. But they have traveled well and were dressed in high fashion. The $25,000 left on a student loan from college 10 years ago is still outstanding because they have no money. On the positive side, they have $2,000 in savings and $18,000 in their 401k. These people have a negative net worth, but they really looked good. Bob's mom is very impressed. Sarah's brother frequently stops by to ask for money because they are obviously doing well. They present the perfect picture of the American dream that has turned into a nightmare. Behind the perfect hair and the French manicure, there is deep desperation and a sense of futility, an unraveling marriage, and disgust with themselves. This may be one of the places our metaphor of weight loss or physical fitness breaks down. If your body were in the same condition that Bob and Sarah's money is in, everyone would think 500 pounds is just too fat. Your problem would be apparent to family, friends, strangers, and even you. The difference with Bob and Sarah is that they are broke and desperate, and no one knows it. Not only does no one know it, but everyone thinks the opposite is true. So when my counselor made suggestions to turn this bankruptcy looking for a place to happen around, there was more than one place of resistance in the heart. The truth is that Bob and Sarah are broke. They need to sell the cars and sell the house. The resistance of the heart is real. First, of course, we like our nice houses and nice cars, and selling them will be painful. Second, we don't want to admit to everyone we have impressed that we are fakes. Yes, when you buy a big pile of stuff with no money and lots of debt, you are a financial fake. Peer pressure is very, very powerful. We are scaling down. It's a painful statement to make to friends or family. We will have to pass on that trip or dinner because it's not in our budget. It's virtually impossible for some people to say. Being real takes tremendous courage. We like approval and we like respect. To wish for the admiration of others is normal. The problem is that this admiration can become a drug. Many of you are addicted to this drug, and the destruction to your wealth and financial well-being caused by your addiction is huge. Radical change in the quest for approval is required for a money breakthrough. Sarah's breakthrough came with family. 6 sets of adults to buy for just on her side, the budget was ridiculous. Sarah's announcement at Thanksgiving that this year Christmas giving was going to be done with the drawing of names because she and Bob couldn't afford it was earth-shattering. Some of you are grinning as if this is no big deal. It was a huge deal in Sarah's family. Her mother and 2 of her sisters were furious. Very little thanks were given that Thanksgiving. But Sarah stood her ground and said, "No more." Sarah has a master's degree in sociology, so she was no pushover. She understood that she would lose approval, admiration, and respect. The courage to address what may seem like a small issue was a huge breakthrough for Sarah. That Thanksgiving, her heart had a total money makeover, and she was not going to be led into well-dressed poverty by peer pressure anymore. Everyone has a weak spot like Sarah's. It could be your 3rd-generation failing business that needs to be closed. It could be your clothes shopping. It probably is your car. It could be the boat. Maybe yours is giving to your grown children. Unless you have had a heart-level total money makeover somewhere, sometime in your life, you are still doing something with money to impress others. And that has to change before you can get on a real plan to fiscal fitness. The Bible states godliness with contentment is great gain. Those of us who have had a total money makeover still know where our Achilles heel is and still see that weak spot as a fatal wound if we allow it to grow again. What is the one money thing that makes you grin inside when you see others admiring it? Do you need to give it up to break that feeling inside you? Until you recognize that weak area, you will always be prone to financial stupidity on that subject. My weak spot is cars. After starting with nothing and becoming a millionaire the first time by age 26, I needed a Jaguar. What I needed was for people to be impressed with my success. What I needed was family raising an eyebrow of approval based on my ability to win. What I yearned for was respect. What I was so shallow to believe was that the car I drove gave me those things. God used the whole story of what I drove to give my heart a total money makeover in the area of peer pressure. As I was going broke, losing everything, I kept the Jaguar by refinancing it repeatedly. I even went so far as to get a good friend to co-sign a loan so I could keep this image car. Within the year of our bankruptcy, we were so broke that our electricity was once cut off for 2 days. I have often wondered what the guy from the electric company thought as he stood in the driveway next to my Jaguar and pulled my electric meter. That is sick. Finally, my friend really got tired of making the payments he had co-signed for and gently suggested that I sell my precious car. I was mad at him. How dare he suggest I sell my car? So he quit making the payments. And the bank not so gently suggested I sell the car or they would repo it. I tried to stall and only came to my senses and sold the Jaguar on Thursday morning because the bank assured me they would take it on Friday. I was able to work my way through the mess, pay the bank, and even my friend back, but the process was humiliating because I was too stubborn to address what that car represented in my life. I caused much damage that was avoidable. An interesting footnote about how healing can occur on your weak spot. I was so disgusted with myself when I woke up and realized the depth of my stupidity that I swore off my drug, cars. I didn't care what we drove or what it looked like as long as we were winning in our total money makeover. Fast forward 15 years. We had become wealthy again, and I decided to get a different car. I'm always looking for a 1 or 2 year old car, and I'm always paying cash, and always looking for a great deal, not really caring which car it is. I was kind of looking for a Mercedes or a Lexus. A friend in the car business called me with a deal on a Jaguar. So all those years and tears later, when it was no longer the driving force of my approval rating, God sent a Jaguar back into my life. He returned what the locusts had eaten, but he only family on a cruise for Christmas. After their Total Money Makeover, Bob and Sarah will be able to pay cash for a huge event like that and not even dent their wealth. They will be able to buy that cruise in memory of that fateful Thanksgiving. Sarah's heart had a total money makeover in her need for her family's approval. That change has taught Sarah and Bob that if they will live like no one else, later they'll be able to live like no one else. One thing I have learned as I have lost fat, become toned, and generally gotten into better shape is this. Things that require physical output are easier for me. Things like mountain climbing or obstacle courses are actually doable now. Not a dream as they were when I was overweight and out of shape. The same is true of our Total Money Makeover journey to fiscal fitness. Have you realized by now the start of your Total Money Makeover is almost an obstacle course? We busted through denial. We waded through and climbed over debt myths. We carefully scaled the wall of money myths. We are working through ignorance, and we have learned not to place so much emphasis on our competition on the course. We've permanently quit keeping up with the Joneses because the Joneses are broke. The obstacle course, however, was only part of our journey. Now we stand at the bottom of a mountain with a clear view of the top. Take a look back before we start. The climb will be hard, but it will be near impossible if you are still struggling with any of the obstacles. The 12-steppers have it right. They say continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. What you have falsely believed and acted on, or not acted on, has brought you to the place you are today with your money. If you want to be in a different place, you must believe and do things differently. The change will be painful, but the result will be worth it. I've been to the top of the Total Money Makeover mountain, and I've led countless others there. I say it is worth the effort. So lace up your shoes of resolve, wave goodbye to your normal friends, and let's climb. Chapter 6. Save $1,000 fast. Walk before you run. In my first book, Financial Peace, there is a chapter titled Baby Steps, the premise of which is that we can do anything financially if we do it one little step at a time. The term baby steps comes from the comedy What About Bob, starring Bill Murray. Bill plays a crazy guy who drives his psychiatrist crazy. The therapist has written a book called Baby Steps. Statement, you can get anywhere if you simply go one step at a time, is the framework of the movie. We will use the baby steps to walk through our Total Money Makeover. Why do baby steps work? Thought you'd never ask. The way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Find something to do and do that with vigor until it is complete. Then and only then do you move to the next step. If you try to do everything at once, you will fail. When I went on a quest for a better body and better health a few years ago, my wise trainer didn't try to kill me the first day. We walked before we ran. Plus, if I tried to do everything at once, I would have been overwhelmed and frustrated with my inability to do it at all. The power of focus is what causes our baby steps to work. When you try to do everything at once, progress can be very slow. Put 3% in your 401k, $50 extra on the house payment, and $5 extra on the credit card, you dilute your efforts. Because you attack several areas at once, you don't finish anything. You start from the wrong time. That makes you feel that you aren't accomplishing anything, which is very dangerous. If you feel that nothing is getting done, you will soon lose energy for the task of money management altogether. The power of focus is that it works. Check stuff off your list. The power of priority also causes the baby steps to work. Each of these steps is part of the proven plan to financial fitness I promised you. They build on one another. So do the baby steps in order. To start the baby steps, we will work on one important step to the exclusion of others. Patience. We will climb the whole mountain, but not until we first have a strong base camp. Tempted to short-circuit the process because you are more concerned about one certain area of your money, but don't do it. These steps are everyone. For example, if you are 55 with no retirement, you may want to jump ahead to step 4. Invest 15% of your income into retirement because you are scared about not being able to retire with dignity. The paradox is that by shortcutting the process, you are much more likely to fail at retiring with dignity. If you have kids heading toward college, you may be panicking about saving for college, which is covered in baby step 5, but don't do it out of order. Focus exclusively on the baby step you are on, even though it seems to be a temporary detriment to other areas of money. Things will be fine if you don't focus on retirement for a few months, as long as you can kick retirement into the stratosphere when we get there. Before we discuss the baby steps, we need to look at some basic tools needed to win and some ongoing things you should be doing as you go. The dreaded B word enters the picture here. You must set up a written budget every month. This is an audiobook about a process that will enable you to win with your money, and I assure you that virtually none of the thousands of winners I have seen did so without a written budget. You have to tell your money what to do or it leaves. A written budget for the month is your goal. People who win at anything have written goals. Goals are what you are aiming at. Zig Ziglar says if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, so why do you spend your lifetime income of over $2 million without a blueprint? Jesus said, which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Brian Tracy, motivational speaker, says, what does it take to succeed on a big scale? A tremendous God-given talent? Inherited wealth? A decade of postgraduate education? Connections? Fortunately for most of us, what it takes is something very simple and accessible. Clear, written goals. According to Brian Tracy, a study of Harvard graduates found that after 2 years, the 3% who had written goals achieved more financially than the other 97% combined. This is not a textbook on money, but let me give you a couple of guidelines to get started on budgeting. Set up a new budget every month. Don't try to have the perfect budget for the perfect month, because we never have those. Spend every dollar on paper before the month begins. Income minus out-to-go equals exactly 0 every month. Look at this month's income and this month's bills, savings, and debts, and match them up until you've given every dollar an out-to-go name. If you're married, agree on the budget with your spouse. This one sentence requires a standalone book to describe how. But the bottom line is this. If you aren't working together, it is almost impossible to win. In most marriages, one person is more forceful than the other. If the forceful one is stupid, guess what happens? A lot of stupid decisions are made for the family. I put out a call right now for those of you who are not the forceful ones in marriages to speak out when you think a decision is wrong. Do not go along with stupidity. If you know what is right, grow a backbone and speak up. You need to learn to bust up in your spouse's face and say no to stupid decisions. When you are right, you shouldn't go walking around afraid of what your spouse is going to think or feel. You don't have to be nasty, but you do have to be assertive. The first time you do this, there will likely be a fight. You may need some counseling, but you needed it anyway. One wife wrote to me because she was fed up with her husband's behavior. Quote, I need you to help me set some guidelines. My husband refuses to work with me on our quest for financial independence. I've set up numerous appointments for financial counseling, and he has blown off each one of them. Should I go about this on my own and try to secure my own checking account and at least get myself into good financial standing and worry about my own retirement? My response to her, you should not separate your financial money that is not on that paper. If something comes up in the middle of the month that causes the budget to need changing, call an emergency budget committee meeting. You can change the budget only if you do two things. One, both spouses agree to the change. Two, you must still balance your budget. If you increase what you are spending on car repairs by $50, you must lower what you're spending somewhere else by $50 so that your income minus your outgo still equals zero. Before we get to baby step one, you will have to do one other thing. You will have to be current with all of your creditors. If you are behind on payments, the first goal will be to become current. If you are far behind, do necessities first, which are basic food, shelter, utilities, clothing, and transportation. Only when you're current with the necessities can you catch up on credit cards and student loans. If you need more help with this level of financial crisis, check our website for how to contact one of our certified counselors or order the book Financial Peace Revisited. Focused intensity is required to win. I can't stress enough that people who have had a total money makeover got mad. They got sick and tired of being sick and tired. They said, I've had it, and went ballistic to change their lives. There is no intellectual exercise where you can academically work your way into wealth. You have to get fired up. Play the music from Rocky in the background and go get 'em, champ. There is no energy in logic. This is behavior and motivation modification, and it works. After you are current, have a written, agreed-on plan, have the obstacle course behind you, and are focused and intense, you are ready to follow the right priorities. Here we go. Baby step one. Save $1,000 cash as a starter emergency fund. It is going to rain. You need a rainy day fund. Money Magazine says that 78% of us will have a major negative event in a given 10-year period of time. The job is downsized, or you just plain get fired. There is an unexpected pregnancy, car blows up, transmission goes out, you bury a loved one, grown kids move home again. Life happens, so be ready. This is not a surprise. You need an emergency fund, an old-fashioned grandma's rainy day fund. Sometimes people tell me I should be more positive. Well, I am positive. It is going to rain, so you need a rainy day fund. Now, obviously, $1,000 isn't going to catch all of these big things, but it will catch the little ones. The emergency fund is fully funded. The emergency fund is not for buying things or for vacation. It is for emergencies only. No cheating. Do you know who Murphy is? Murphy is that guy with all those negative laws like, if it can go wrong, it will. For years, I have worked with people who felt that Murphy was a member of their family. A total money makeover is no guarantee of a trouble-free life, but my observation has been that trouble, Murphy, is not as welcome in homes that have an emergency fund. Saving money for emergencies is Murphy repellent. Being broke all the time seems to attract old Murphy to set up residence. Most of America uses credit cards to catch all of life's little emergencies. Some of these so-called emergencies are events like Christmas. Christmas is not an emergency. It doesn't sneak up on you. Christmas is always in December. They don't move it, and therefore it is not an emergency. Your car will need repairs, and your kids will outgrow their clothes. These are not emergencies. They are items that belong in your budget. If you don't budget for them, they will feel like emergencies. Whether the emergency is real or just poor planning, the cycle of dependence on credit cards has to be broken. A well-planned budget for anticipated things and an emergency fund for the truly unexpected can end dependence on credit cards. The first major step to your total money makeover is to begin the emergency fund. A small start is to save $1,000 in cash fast. If you have a household income under $20,000 per year, use $500 for your beginner fund. Stop everything and focus. Since I hate debt so much, people often ask why we don't start with the debt. I used to do that when I first started teaching and counseling, but I discovered that people would stop their whole total money makeover because of an emergency. The alternator on the car would go out, and that $300 repair ruined the whole plan because the purchase had to go on a credit card since there was no emergency fund. If you use debt after swearing off it, you lose the momentum to keep going. It is like eating 7 pounds of ice cream on Friday after losing 2 pounds that week. You feel sick, like a failure. So start with a little fund to catch the little things before beginning to dump the debt. The beginner fund will keep life's little Murphys from turning into new debt while you work off the old debt. If a real emergency happens, you have to handle it with your emergency fund. No more borrowing. You have to break the cycle. Twist and wring out the budget, work extra hours, or sell something, but quickly get your $1,000. Most of you should hit this step in less than a month. If it looks like it is going to take longer, do something radical. Work part-time. Get crazy. You are way too close to the edge of falling over a major money cliff here. When you get the $1,000, hide it. You can't keep the money handy because it will get spent. You can put it in the bank savings account, but don't attach the savings account to your checking to protect you from overdrafting, because then your emergency fund will get spent on impulse. I have had to learn to protect myself from me. We are not putting the money in the bank to earn money, but rather to make it hard to get. Since $1,000 at 4% earns only $40 per year, you aren't getting rich here, just finding a safe place to park money. But if you already have more than $1,000, wow, that was easy, wasn't it? If you already have the $1,000 in anything other than retirement plans, get it out. If it is a certificate of deposit with penalties, take the penalty for early withdrawal and get it out. If it is in stocks or bonds, get it out. Your emergency fund, limited to $1,000 in liquid available cash, is all that is acceptable. If you have tried to get fancy with your emergency fund, you are likely to borrow to keep from cashing it, the cool investment, out. What if you are at baby step 2 and you use $300 from your emergency fund to fix the alternator? If this happens, stop step 2 and return to step 1 until the full $1,000 is replenished. Once your beginner emergency fund is funded again, you can return to step 2. I know some of you think this step is very simplistic, but for others, this is the step that will be the spiritual and emotional basis for the entire Total Money Makeover. Lily was such a case. A single mom with 2 kids, she had been divorced for 8 years. Struggle has been a way of life for some time. Lily had survival debt, not stupid, spoiled brat debt. She had been ripped off with a super high interest car loan, check advance debt, and lots of credit card debt. She had a take-home pay of only $1,200 per month.